Nicola Sturgeon is in a bitter standoff with Boris Johnson over a second Scottish independence referendum, but should the First Minister hold a vote without the Prime Minister's permission? But calls are growing for the First Minister to ignore opposition from Westminster and press on with her bid for independence. A new survey has found that the majority of Scots are in favour of Holyrood legislating to hold a referendum despite Mr Johnson's refusal to back the move. The panel-based poll asked what should happen if the UK government continues to deny permission for an independence vote. It asked if the Scottish Parliament should legislate for such a ballot and then allow the courts to decide if it could go ahead. Some 56% of respondents agreed, while 44% opposed. Meanwhile, SNP MP Joanna Cherry QC has insisted that now is the moment to begin the preparations for a second independence referendum. She called for Holyrood to pass a bill to hold a referendum and then let the Prime Minister mount a legal challenge on whether they had the power to do so. The case would be decided at the UK Supreme Court, with Ms Cherry stating, "Many legal experts think we would win the argument." Taking to Twitter, she said, "I believe that Holyrood passing a bill to hold a referendum could be part of a multifaceted strategy to move us away from the current impasse and stop the constant and unproductive talk about Section 30 orders and seeking permission to act from Westminster. The balance of legal opinion is that we might well win any court challenge, and I don't believe that losing would set us back any further than where we are just now. Boris Johnson should be put on notice that we have options and we are not afraid to push forward." Ms Sturgeon has previously insisted she would not follow in the footsteps of Catalonia by holding an illegal referendum. However, the First Minister said there could come a time when the Scottish Government would consider holding a consultative vote if this was ruled to be legal by the courts. It comes after Scottish voters opted to remain in the UK by 55% to 45% in the 2014 referendum. In a letter to Ms Sturgeon in January, Mr Johnson rejected her Section 30 order to transfer powers from Westminster to the Scottish Parliament for the ballot. He said, "You and your predecessor made a personal promise that the 2014 independence referendum was a once-in-a-generation vote. The people of Scotland voted decisively on that promise to keep our United Kingdom together, a result which both the Scottish and UK governments committed to respect in the Edinburgh Agreement." The Prime Minister said the UK government would continue to uphold the democratic decision of the Scottish people and the promise you made to them. He added that he did to want to see Scotland's schools, hospitals and employment again left behind because of a campaign to separate the UK. Mr Johnson said, "For that reason, I cannot agree to any request for a transfer of power that would lead to further independence referenda."